Husband gave my seat to best friend. I left. CEO slapped my husband at the entrance. The whole room erupted. I'll never forget that night. Not because my heart was broken. The slap echoed through the banquet hall. It grew so quiet you could hear the crystal chandeliers trembling. 320 guests, 60 tables. At Beijing's top venue, the Apex Pavilion was crafted by a 3 Michelin star chef. And my husband? The founder and CEO of Xinheng Group, Shen Yanzhou, stood right in the center of the head table, the imprint of his palm still fresh on that woman's face. My assistant. The one I'd personally groomed and trusted. Wenya. But that slap wasn't just for her face. It landed right in the center of my soul. Let me rewind 2 hours. Xinheng Group's 3-year gala. I'd started planning 3 months in advance. From the venue selection to the guest list and seating chart, I oversaw every detail myself. As a co-founder of Xinheng Group and Shen Yanzhou's wife, I, Jiang Muxing, have never been just some decorative vase who pours tea. Xinheng's rise from a 3-year-old startup valued at barely 2 billion to a tech giant now worth over 100 billion today. My business acumen and connections were crucial. But tonight, when I walked out from the backstage dressing room, balancing on 12-centimeter stilettos, wearing a custom-made burgundy velvet gown, ready to take my seat at the head table, I saw my place card. It wasn't to Shen Yanzhou's right. Far corner, next to the restroom. And the seat to Shen Yanzhou's right clearly bore 2 words, Wenya. My gaze swept across the entire head table. Shen Yanzhou's mother sat to his left. The elder's seat. Reasonable. Wenya sat to his right. That was my seat. Further down were Shen Yanzhou's uncles and Xinheng's core shareholders. And me, Jiang Muxing, the second largest shareholder with 15% of Xinheng, was placed in a corner, practically off the main table. I didn't make a scene. I just stood there, calmly scanning every face in the room. Some were whispering. Some looked at me with pity. Most chose to look down, pretending not to see. I saw Shen Yanzhou's mother. My mother-in-law, Mrs. Zhou Yulan. She was looking at me with a subtle, smug expression. As if to say, look, in this family, you'll always be an outsider. My phone vibrated in my evening clutch. A message from my mom, Mu Sheng. Your dad's watching your live stream at home. Show the camera to him. He keeps talking about you. I didn't reply. Because I knew, the scene my father was seeing right now was definitely me, sitting in the corner. What would he think if he saw it? The former head of Jiang Group, a titan of industry. Think of his daughter's current situation? The Jiang Group, 20 years ago in Beijing, was a top 3 real estate company. At its peak, market cap was 30 billion. After restructuring, my father stepped back, converted most of the assets, and the trust fund he left for me alone was 800 million. I never needed to depend on Shen Yanzhou to survive. I chose to fight by his side because I loved him. But love should never be a reason to be trampled on. Shen Yanzhou finally noticed me. He looked up from the toasts and chatter with the shareholders, glanced at me. His gaze was as cold as if he were looking at a stranger. You're here. Take a seat. He didn't even stand up. He just jerked his chin toward the corner spot. Wenya shifted slightly beside him, giving me a sweet, innocent smile. Sister Muxing, your dress is so beautiful tonight. No guilt on her face. Of course not. Because she knew the seating change was personally approved by Shen Yanzhou. I didn't sit down. I gathered my skirt, walking step by step toward the center of the main table. My heels clicked sharply on the polished marble floor, each sound like a countdown. Yanzhou, I spoke up, my voice not loud, but enough to quiet the surrounding tables. Who arranged this seating? Shen Yanzhou frowned. He looked impatient. Admin arranged it. It's just a seat. Don't make a scene. The admin department arranged it, I repeated. A cold, humorless smile touching my lips. Admin's arrangement is wrong. I'm Shinhing's second largest shareholder, 15%. Miss Wenya is your administrative assistant. She holds 0 shares. According to basic corporate governance, my seat should not be to her right. Wenya's face flushed slightly. She lowered her head. She fake sweetly apologizes, sorry, Sister Mu Sheng. This is all my fault. I shouldn't have sat here. I'll move right away. Don't you dare move. Shen Yanzhou grabs Wenya's wrist. He glares up at me, eyes full of annoyance. Jiang Mu Sheng. Today's the hour. Do you really have to be here? Wenya is the host for tonight. She needs to be seated here. To manage things. Must you make a federal case of everything? A little thing? He calls my seat, my dignity as his wife. And co-founder, a little thing? I look into his eyes. Those eyes I know so well. The eyes that watched me countless nights, whispering I love you. Promising to protect me forever. Now, all I see in them is cold indifference and impatience. Like a frustrated father. Scolding a misbehaving child. Fine, I let out a bitter laugh. I won't disturb you two anymore. I turn around. And head for the grand doors of the ballroom. Behind me, I hear Zhou Yulan's voice. Pitched just loud enough for me to catch. See? I told you she has no sense of propriety. Yanzhou built this empire to what it is. What has she done? Just flaunts that Mrs. title. What have I contributed? I almost laugh out loud. The core technology that saved the predecessor of Xinhing Group. The smart IoT OS that saved the company. I led the team that slaved for 10 straight months to build it. The roadshow where Shen Yanzhou secured 9-figure funding? All the business plans and financial models. I personally revised them 17 times before they were finalized. Right before the IPO, when we faced a vicious short attack, I leveraged the Jiang Group's connections. And brought in 5 institutions to support the stock in 3 days, stabilizing the share price. All of that. In the mouths of Shen Yanzhou and his family. Becomes, what has she done? I push open the ballroom doors. The cold air from the hallway hits me in the face. Bringing with it a bone-chilling clarity. I stand at the threshold, take a deep breath, and am about to walk away when, from behind me, comes a deafening crack. The sound is so loud. As if someone put their entire body into it. The music, the chatter, the clinking of glasses in the entire ballroom. All cease in an instant. I freeze in my tracks. Not out of curiosity, but because I recognize the direction of that sound. It came from the head table. Slowly, I turn around. Through the half-open door, I see a sight I will never forget for the rest of my life. Shen Yanzhou's right hand is still hanging in the air. His face is flushed bright red. Still hanging in midair, his face flushed bright red. His fury was barely contained. Was a middle-aged man in a black suit. He was Xinhing's largest shareholder. The founder of Dinghui Capital, Pei Yanji. Pei Yanji stood over 6'2", towering half a head above Shen Yanzhou. He stood there, looking down at Shen Yanzhou with a gaze as calm and still as a stagnant pond. Mr. Shen. Pei Yanji's voice wasn't loud, but in the dead silence of the banquet hall, every word cut through the air like a blade. This slap is on behalf of Ms. Jiang. The entire hall fell deathly silent. None of the 320 guests dared to make a sound. Pei Yanji slowly withdrew his hand, straightened his cuff. His tone as casual as if he were discussing the weather. Ms. Jiang Musheng is not only a co-founder of Xinhing Group, but also the most important strategic partner of Dinghui Capital. Seating her in a corner. Are you disrespecting me, Pei? Or are you disrespecting your company's largest shareholder? Shen Yanzhou's face cycled between green and white, like he'd been stripped naked in public. When you covered her face, tears falling in fat drops, her body trembling slightly. She tried to speak, her lips quivering for a long moment, only managing to stammer out, Pei, Mr. Pei. I didn't mean to, shut up. Pei Yanji didn't even glance at her. His voice cold as shards of ice. You don't get to speak here. I stood outside the door, watching it all, feeling no satisfaction. Only a strange, detached calm. Pei Yanji had vented this anger for me. But this anger shouldn't have been his to vent. I turned and stepped into the elevator. As the doors closed, I saw Zhou burst out of the banquet hall doors. His face was etched with panic, his mouth shouting something. But the elevator doors had already shut. His voice was cut off, just as it had been for 6 years. He had shut out every sound I made. My phone vibrated. A message from Zhou. Where are you? Come back. I didn't reply. A second message. Jiang Muxing, what the hell do you want? It's just a seat. Do you have to make a scene and embarrass everyone? A third message. The tone softening slightly, Muxing, come back. Let's talk this through. A fourth message. What's going on with Pei Yanji? What's your relationship with him? Fifth, where are you at? I tossed my phone into the bag and leaned against the elevator wall. I closed my eyes. 6 years ago. When I married Zhou. My dad asked me, are you sure he's genuine? Or is he after your money and connections? I said. He doesn't need my money. He has his own career. Dad was silent. Finally, good. But remember. A daughter of the Jiang family never needs to depend on anyone. I remembered. But it still took me 6 years to understand. The elevator reached the ground floor. I left the hotel. The night wind smelled of the sea. Hitting me in the face. October in Binching already had a chill. I wore only a gown. I shivered, shoulders cold. A black Maybach slid silently to a stop in front of me. The window rolled down. Pei Yanji's stern face appeared. He had somehow already left the banquet hall. His jacket was on his arm, tie loosened, revealing a stretch of sharply defined collarbone. Get in the car. Dressed like that, you'll freeze. I looked at him, didn't speak. Pei Yanji. 32. Founder of Dinghui Capital. Assets under management. Over 200 billion. I've known him for 5 years. We've worked together countless times. He's always been my most trusted business partner. He kept a perfect distance. Mr. Pei. I said, you shouldn't have slapped him earlier. Why not? Because that's my person to slap. Pei Yanji looked at me. The corner of his mouth lifted slightly. It wasn't quite a smile. More like an acknowledgement. Fine, next time you do it yourself. For now, get in the car. Your parents just called me. They couldn't reach you. They're worried. I got in. The moment the door closed, my phone vibrated again. This time, it wasn't Zhou. It was my mom. Muxing, are you okay? My mom's voice was frantic. Your dad and I saw the live stream. Why were you sitting in the corner? Who is that one woman? What's going on with Yanzhou? Mom, I'm fine. I said. I'll explain when I get home. I hung up. I leaned back in the seat, watching the glittering nightscape of Binching flash by the window. I know this city too well. Every street, every building has witnessed my glory and my humiliation. Pei Yanji, I suddenly spoke. Earlier, you said I'm Dinghui's most important strategic partner. Was that true? Or just polite talk to help me save face? Pei Yanji turned his head and looked at me. A flicker of amusement passed through those unfathomably deep eyes. Jiang Muxing, do you really think I'd slap the chairman of Xingheng Group, just to make small talk? I thought about it. You're right. Come to my office tomorrow at 10. Pei Yanji said there's a project. Let's talk in private. Not about Xingheng. What project? One to make people regret. I asked no more. The car stopped in front of my parents' villa. I pushed the door open. Pei Yanji's voice came from behind me. Jiang Muxing. I turned around. You're far stronger than you think you are, he said. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I shut the car door and walked into the house. The lights were still on inside the villa. My mom and dad were both sitting in the living room. On the TV screen, the live stream from the Xingheng annual gala was still paused. My dad saw me come in, stood up, and said nothing. He just walked over and gave me a tight, firm hug. His embrace was just like it was 20 years ago. Solid, warm, with the faint scent of tobacco. Dad, I said. I think I'm getting a divorce. My dad's hand paused for a second. Then he let go of me, looked at me. His eyes held no surprise. Only heartache. If you've made up your mind, then do it, my dad said. A daughter of the Jiang family is still a daughter of the Jiang family, divorce or not. My mom's eyes reddened beside us, but she didn't cry. She just said, "That one woman. I knew from the first glance. She was no good." I laughed. I kept laughing. Until my eyes welled up. Not from sadness. But because I finally knew what path I needed to walk. That night, I lay in bed, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. On my phone, Shenyanzhou's messages kept popping up, one after another. From accusations to pleas. From pleas to threats, from threats to playing the victim. He used every trick in the book I could think of. The latest one read, "Mu Xing. Wenya has resigned. Are you satisfied now? Come back. Let's work this out. Wenya resigned." I almost laughed out loud. Of course she resigned. After the huge scene today. Pei slap. Was a public declaration, anyone who sides with Wenya is making an enemy of Dinghui capital. Even an idiot like Wenya. No, she can't stay at that company now. Not because she's sorry. Her game backfired. I turned off my phone, staring at the ceiling. 6 years of marriage. I went from Jiang family heiress with an 800 million trust fund to a Mrs. Shen who couldn't even keep her seat at the main table. I'm not weaker, I just believed in love too much. Too much in the words that man whispered in my ear. "I'll protect you for the rest of your life." But the reality is, the moment you give your power to protect yourself to another, you've already lost. I won't lose again. The next morning, I put on a sharply tailored black suit, applied clean, understated makeup, and arrived on time at Pei Yanji's office. Dinghui Capital's office. It occupied the top floor of Binqing's landmark, Cloud Summit Tower. The entire floor was walled with floor-to-ceiling glass, offering a panoramic view of the entire Binqing coastline. Pei Yanji was already waiting for me. He wore a dark gray shirt today. The sleeves rolled up to his elbows, revealing his toned forearms. His desk was strewn with documents, but the one on top had 4 words on the cover, "New Ascendancy Project." "Sit." He gestured to the chair opposite. "Coffee or tea?" "Coffee." "No sugar." Pei Yanji raised an eyebrow, poured a cup himself, and handed it to me. "New Ascendancy Project." I picked up the file and opened the first page. What is this? A specialized investment fund targeting the smart IoT sector. Initial capital of 5 billion. Pei Yanji leaned back in his executive chair, fingers steepled. "I want you to run it." I looked up at him. "Why me?" "Because you're the one in Binqing who understands the tech, understands the capital, and has a grudge against Shenyanzhou. Is you, and you alone." I didn't deny it. "And?" Pei Yanji paused. "That smart IoT operating system you developed at Xingheng Group. The technical foundation is very solid. Pity, Shenyanzhou steered it in the wrong direction. If you're willing, we could build a better, open system from that roadmap and launch it. So you're setting up a rival to Xingheng." Pei Yanji corrected me. "You are." "I'm just the investor." I looked into his eyes, trying to spot any trace of calculation or exploitation. But I found none. Those eyes held only a calm scrutiny. Like a chess player observing the board. Detached. Rational. Devoid of any superfluous emotion. "What are the terms?" I asked. "No terms. You provide the tech, the management. I provide the money, the resources. Profit split 50/50ths. "That's too generous," I said. "It doesn't make sense." Pei Yanji smiled. This time, a genuine smile, carrying a hint of appreciation. "Jiang Muxing. Right, it makes sense. So, I have one additional condition." "Go on." "All decisions for the new Ascendancy project must be made independently by you." "All decisions for the new Ascendancy project must be made independently by you. You can't be swayed by anyone. Not even me." His tone turns deadly serious. "If you agree, you are the sole and absolute decision maker for new Ascendancy. I will have no veto power over any of your calls. In return, you cannot back down at a critical moment for any personal reason." I was silent for a long time. Outside the window, the sea of Binqing glittered like shattered gold under the sun. In the distance, I could see the headquarters of Xingheng Group. That glass-clad tower was once my pride. Now, it looks like a cold, concrete tombstone. "I agree. But I have one more condition. The first investment from New Ascendancy will be used to acquire shares in Xingheng. Pei Yanji's eyes lit up. I've made up my mind, I said. He wants my throne? I'll make him understand exactly who that throne belongs to. Pei Yanji extended his hand. I took it. His hand was large. His palm dry and warm, his grip firm and controlled. Pleasure doing business, Ms. Jiang. Likewise, Mr. Pei. Leaving the Cloud Summit Tower, my phone began vibrating again. This time, it wasn't Xin Yanzhou. It was an unknown number. I answered. Jiang Musheng? The voice on the other end was a woman's, choked with tears. It's Wenya. Can we talk? I leaned against my car door, gazing at the distant sea. My tone was calm, as if speaking to a stranger. Miss Wen, we have nothing to discuss. Musheng, please. I swear it wasn't my idea. I didn't arrange that seat. It was Yanzhou, Mr. Shen, he insisted I sit there. I tried to refuse. Your refusal must have been very quiet, I said. Quiet enough for no one to hear. Silence on the line for 2 seconds. Then Wenya's voice changed. The tears were gone. It turned sharp and venomous. Jiang Musheng, you think you've won? You know what Yanzhou told me last night. He said he's been sick of you for ages. You're just the washed-up daughter of a failed businessman. What do you have besides the crumbling Jiang family fortune? You can't even give him a child. What right do you have to be Mrs. Shen? My hand stilled. A child. Shen Yanzhou and I were married for 6 years. We never had children. Not because I didn't want them. It's because Shen Yanzhou said. He was always too busy, said to wait after the IPO. Then wait for stability, then 3 more years. I waited from 24 to 30. Later, I found out he didn't want a child, not because he was busy. He thought a child would make divorce more complicated. I'm done. I asked. When you paused, probably not expecting me to be this calm. If you're done, hang up, I said. Oh, and Miss Wen? There's something you probably don't know. 70% of Xingheng's smart IoT OS core code was written by me alone. The copyrights for that code are in my name, not Xingheng's. The line went dead silent. So, if I were to sue Xingheng for infringement, Shen Yanzhou would have to pay me at least 2 billion. I hung up, opened the car door, and slid into the driver's seat. The engine roared, my reflection in the mirror. No anger on that face. No sadness. Just an icy, absolute resolve. The real show is just beginning. For the next 2 weeks. I didn't answer a single call from Shen Yanzhou. I didn't go to Yunwan Villa, stayed with parents. Leaving early, returning late every day. In the temporary office Dinghui Capital arranged for me. Working feverishly on the new Ascendancy project. The first week, I completed the business plan and fundraising proposal for the new Ascendancy project. Pei Yanji gave me 5 billion in seed funding. But I needed far more than that. In 3 days, contacted 17 institutions, secured 12 be oversubscribed. Second week, I started building the tech team. I contacted 6 of my former subordinates from my Xingheng days. They were all top-tier engineers in the industry, who had been brutally exploited under Shen Yanzhou. Hearing I was starting my own venture, 5 agreed to join me on the spot. Only 1 hesitated. His name was Gu Shen. He was the deputy technical director during my time at Xingheng, and the Mu Sheng. His voice over the phone was full of hesitation. It's not that I don't want to go with you, but, Boss Shen, he has something on me. What is it? Gu Shen was silent for a long time. Finally, he said, last year, during a company bid, Boss Shen had me make some adjustments to the technical proposal. If this gets out, I could go to prison. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Shen Yanzhou. He always has a backup plan. His way with people. It's not just about using your skills. It's about using your leverage. He keeps everyone on a tight leash, so you don't dare betray him. You dare not leave. Did you alter the proposal? Or did he make you do it? He made me do it. But I'm the one who signed it. Do you have proof? Gu Shen went silent for another moment, then said, yes. I had a hunch. I recorded it. Good, I said. Send me the recording. I'll handle it. Don't be afraid. Shen Yanzhou can't touch you. I hung up the phone and sat in my office. I stared at the skyline, lost in thought. Shen Yanzhou's greatest talent isn't technology or finance. It's people. It's knowing how to make everyone owe him. Owe him favors, owe him money. When he gives you something, you think he's being genuinely good to you. Then when he turns on you, you realize those favors were just chains. I was once one of his chains too. 6 years ago, he married me. Not just because he loved me. But the Jiang family has connections in Bincheng. Even though Jiang Group has restructured, my father's decades of business network was something Shen Yanzhou dreamed of having. He got it. And I got a lesson. 2 weeks later, one evening, I got a call from Shen Yanzhou's mother, Zhou Yulan. Mushing, dear. Her voice was sickeningly sweet. Unlike the gala. We're making dumplings tonight. Come home for dinner. Yanzhou is being foolish. I've already scolded him. Scolded him? That night at the gala, when he put me in a corner in front of hundreds of people. She didn't scold me. Auntie, I said, not Mom. Thank you, but I'm busy tonight. I won't be coming. There was a pause on the other end. Then Zhou Yulan's voice turned cold. Jiang Mushing. What kind of attitude is this? I'm calling you personally, and you're putting on airs? Do you have any idea how much weight Yanzhou has lost these past few days? He's working himself to death for this family, and what are you doing? Running around with Pei Yanji. The whole of Bincheng is gossiping about you too. Running around? I couldn't help but laugh. Auntie. My relationship with President Pei is purely professional. If you think that's running around, then I suggest you first check your son's phone. See what his relationship with Miss Wen really is. You. And, I cut her off, from today, please don't call me anymore. Stop calling me. My situation with Shen Yanzhou. We'll settle it ourselves. I hung up the phone. Blocked that number too. Late October. The chill in Bincheng has settled in for good. The fundraising for the new Ascendancy project is complete. All 12 billion is in the account. The tech team's initial structure is in place. 7 core engineers, including Gushen, are all here. We leased an entire floor in the Bincheng High-Tech Park. The fit-out's still ongoing. But the office equipment is all set up. I stood in the empty office, staring at the project timeline pinned to the wall. A sense of solid ground, long absent, settled in my chest. This is my venture. Not some accessory. Not a duty owed to being someone's wife. It belongs to Jiang Mushing, and Jiang Mushing alone. My phone buzzed. A message from Pei Yanji. Free tonight? Taking you to meet someone. Who? Someone who can make you 2 billion. I typed back, okay. 7 p.m. Pei Yanji's car was waiting outside my parents' place. He'd switched to an understated black Audi today, wearing a casual navy sweater and khakis. He looked less like a man managing 200 billion in capital, and more like a regular guy out for a weekend stroll. Get in. He rolled down the window, offering a slight smile. I got in. He handed me a file from the passenger seat. Take a look. I opened it. Inside was a share transfer agreement. The subject was an 8% stake in Xingheng Group. My eyes narrowed sharply. I know Xingheng's ownership structure inside out. Pei Yanji said, you hold 15%. Shen Yanzhou has 30. Other investors hold 55%. Get another 6. With your 15, you're the second largest shareholder. If you can get over 10% and rally some of the smaller shareholders, you could even challenge Shen Yanzhou's controlling position. Whose 8% is this? I asked. Hingtong Capital's. They're having liquidity issues, want out. The transfer price is 15% below market. But there's one condition. They'll only sell to you personally. No proxies, no institutional fronts. I see. The boss of Hingtong Capital. They're willing to sell to me at a discount. I understand. Hingtong Capital's boss is my father's decades-old friend. They're willing to transfer at low price. It's not because of Pei Yanji's connections. It's because of the Jiang family's legacy. This 8% stake What's its market value? I ask. Based on today's closing price. Around 1.5 billion. My trust fund has 800 million. But that 800 million is in liquid assets. Most of it tied up in various investment products. The cash I can mobilize short term is no more than 200 million. I can lend it to you, PNG says. As if he's read my mind. Interest at the banks. Standard loan rate. No collateral. No guarantees. Pay me back whenever you have the money. I look at him. Silent for a long time. PNG. Why are you so good to me? He leans back in the driver's seat, tilting his head to look at me. The car's interior is dim. His eyes gleam like obsidian. Jiang Muxing. I've known you for 5 years, he says. 5 years ago, you came to me with Xingheng Group's business plan, seeking funding. Back then, Xingheng was only valued at 2 billion. You stood before me, wearing a wrinkled white shirt. Your eyes read from all-nighters, but your gaze was incredibly sharp. You told me, CEO Pei, this could be $100 billion venture. He pauses. I didn't believe it then. But I was moved by that look in your eyes. I invested. Xingheng became that giant. You deserve the lion's share of the credit. But Xin Yanzhou took all the glory for himself. Whenever people mention Xingheng, they only know Xin Yanzhou. They don't know Jiang Muxing. I think it's a damn shame. He turns his head. Looking at the night ahead, his tone as flat as if he's stating a simple fact. So I'm helping you. Not because I'm being nice, but because you deserve it. You deserve a stage far grander than just being Mrs. Shen. The car is quiet for a long time. I lower my head. Holding the agreement, my fingertips are warm. All right, I say. I'll take this 8%. Pei Yanji smiles. It's a faint smile. A real one. Let's go see old Zhou. He's brought the company seal. That night, I signed that equity transfer agreement. 8% of Xingheng's shares, priced at 1.47 billion. I used 200 million in cash, plus the bridge loan provided by PNG, to complete the transaction. After the deal, my personal stake in Xingheng reached 23%. Only 7 percentage points away from Xin Yanzhou's 30%. But that's not my ultimate goal. My goal is to leave Xin Yanzhou with nothing. Early November, Xingheng Group's stock price started showing abnormal fluctuations. First, the media broke the news that Xingheng's core tech team had all quit. Then, rumors, Dinghui Capital's move spooked the market, was dumping Xingheng shares. Even though Dinghui's actual stake wasn't huge. Markets hypersensitive. News hit instantly. Xingheng's stock price plummeted 12%. Xin Yanzhou couldn't sit still anymore. He started blowing up my phone. I didn't answer. He switched to a dozen different numbers, bombarding me. I blocked them, one by one. Finally, he showed up at my parents' doorstep. That evening, just back from work, car still rolling, when I saw a familiar figure standing by the iron gates of the villa. Xin Yanzhou had lost a lot of weight. His suit hung on him, looking almost empty. His eyes were sunken. Dark stubble, aged 5 years in a glance. But the shrewd calculation in his eyes? That hadn't dimmed one bit. Muxing. He saw me and hurried over. We need to talk. I got out of the car, standing by the door. I didn't move forward. Talk about what? About us. He reached out to grab my arm. I sidestepped, avoiding him. His hand hung frozen in midair. The look on his face shifted from pleading to barely contained rage. Jiang Muxing, what the hell do you want? Destroying our 6-year marriage over a seat? A seat. I repeated it and laughed. Xin Yanzhou, you think I left you because of a seat? Then what? Because of Wenya? She's already resigned. What more do you want? Do you need me to go slap her to be satisfied? I looked at him. And suddenly, I felt exhausted. Not physically. Just, soul-tired. Too tired to even get angry anymore. Xin Yanzhou, do you remember? Before Xingheng's IPO? Who pulled 3 all-nighters? Helping you rewrite the prospectus? He paused. You did. 2 years ago, short attack? Who fought back? Who rallied 5 institutions in 3 days to backstop the stock? His face changed. That was you too. Do you remember? Xinghing's core technology? That smart IoT operating system? Who led the team for 10 months? Wrote hundreds of thousands of lines. Me. I said, it was me, Jiang Musheng. Not Wenya. Not your admin department. Not any of your subordinates. It was me. But you never once acknowledged it. In every public forum, you claimed Xinghing's success was all your own doing. You erased my name. You erased my name from the core RD team roster. You moved my office to push me out. You pushed me out of core operations. Until finally, you turned me into just a trophy wife for the gala. My voice was low, but every word hit like a hammer. Shen Yanzhou. You didn't lose me over a seat. You spent 6 years, pushing me away, bit by bit. Shen Yanzhou stood frozen on the spot. His face paled, then flushed, his lips trembling for a long moment. Before he finally choked out a word. Musheng. I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Give me a chance. I'll change. How? Can you give me back the last 6 years? Can you give me back the time I lost? The opportunities? My career? He opened his mouth, but no words came out. You can't. I said. So I'm not giving you a chance either. I turned and keyed in the code for the iron gate. Musheng. Shen Yanzhou's voice came from behind me. It was trembling, almost pleading. How can you be this heartless? 6 years of feelings, you can just throw it all away? My hand paused on the door handle. Shen Yanzhou. You're talking about feelings? I turned back, looking him straight in the eye. Then let me ask you. What exactly is your relationship with Wenya? His expression froze for a second. Just 1 second. But I saw it. It's nothing. There's nothing between us, he said. His tone was firm. She's just my assistant. Assistant. I laughed. Since when does an assistant know where you keep your antacids? Since when does an assistant test your bath water for you? Since when does an assistant touch your teacup like that? Jiang Musheng. His voice turned ice cold. I didn't need to investigate. I said. The gala was live-streamed. Millions of people saw it. What do you think they're thinking? Shen Yanzhou's face went completely white. I pushed the gate open and stepped inside. His voice followed me. No more pleading this time. It was pure, icy threat. Jiang Musheng. Think very carefully. If you divorce me, you won't get a single cent. You signed the prenup. The Xinghing shares. They're marital property, but I hold the controlling interest. If you want to fight, I'll give you one. I stopped walking. I didn't look back. Shen Yanzhou. You're forgetting the Xinghing patents. They're in my name. If I sue you for infringement, you'll owe me at least 2 billion. Dead silence behind me. And my 8% stake in Hingtong Capital. The transfer is already complete. Now I hold 23% of Xinghing Group's shares. Just 7 points behind you, I stepped into my home. The iron gate slammed shut behind me. That night, my parents didn't ask what had happened. My mom just silently brought me a bowl of hot soup. Dad was watching the quiet news. I ate, showered, and opened my laptop. There was a new email in my inbox. The sender was Pei Yanji. New Ascendancy Project's first targets shortlisted. You lead tomorrow's 10 a.m. review. I replied. Received. I shut my laptop and stared up. The thought of divorce didn't just pop up at the annual gala. It was a seed planted 2 years ago. 2 years ago, at the first board meeting after Xinghing's IPO, Shen Yanzhou proposed to change my position. From executive vice president to brand ambassador, he said. Musheng has a good image, perfect for public relations. Leave the internal management to the professionals. His exact words were, a woman's place is as a pretty ornament. I didn't object at that board meeting, because I wanted to save his face and his authority. But that night, I sat alone in the study for hours, until dawn broke. From that day on, I started planning in secret. I registered the copyright for the core technology code under my own name. I began compiling records of all Shinyanzhou's violations in company operations. I started quietly reaching out to those minority shareholders who were unhappy with Shinyanzhou. I spent a year preparing, a year waiting, and the annual gala. That was just the trigger. The moment I decided to light the fuse. The next morning, I arrived on time at Dinghui Capital's conference room. New Ascendancy's first batch had 7 potentials. They covered smart hardware, AI chips, IoT security, edge computing, and other specialized fields. The review meeting lasted a solid 4 hours. I analyzed each project's tech roadmap, market potential, team background, and valuation fairness. We shortlisted 4 for the first round. After the meeting, Pei Yanji stopped me. Binching Tech Association banquet is tonight. Are you going? Why would I go? I asked. Binching's tech scene needs to get to know you again. Pei Yanji said. Not as Mrs. Shen, but as Jiang Musheng. I thought about it and said, fine. 7 tonight. Tech Association's annual gala. Half of Binching's tech elite were gathered there. From internet titans to startup founders. From top-tier investors to academic heavyweights. Pretty much anyone who was anyone had shown up. I was wearing a simple black gown. My hair in a low bun, pearl studs on my ears. My makeup was clean, sharp, no frills. This dress wasn't some big-name couture. Just an independent label from a local designer. But it made me look like a drawn sword. Sharp and restrained. Pei Yanji walked beside me. In a perfectly tailored black suit. Platinum cufflinks, understated. He radiated a keep-your-distance kind of chill. The moment we stepped into the ballroom, nearly every head turned. A wave of hushed whispers followed. That's Jiang Musheng, the boss lady of Xinghang Group. I heard she split with Shinyanzhou. Now she's with Pei Yanji. You serious? Pei Yanji is famously not into women. What do you know? This is a power alliance. Jiang Musheng was the tech backbone of Xinghang. Shinyanzhou sidelining her was like sawing off the branch he's sitting on. I heard it all. Didn't let it get to me. Pei Yanji led me to the head table. Pulled out a chair for me. This time, my seat was right in the center. On Pei Yanji's right. Midway through the dinner, an uninvited guest showed up. Shinyanzhou, in a silver gray suit. Hair slicked back perfectly, a polite smile plastered on his face. His dark, calculating eyes? I saw through it. He walked straight to our table. Extended a hand to Pei Yanji. Director Pei. Long time no see. Pei Yanji didn't take his hand. Just gave a slight nod, voice icy. Director Shen. Shinyanzhou's hand hung in the air. His smile almost cracked. He pulled his hand back. Turned to me, voice low. Musheng. Can we talk? Alone? No. I said. His face finally fell. Jiang Musheng, don't push it. I'm pushing it? I set my glass down and stood up. Looking him straight in the eyes. Shinyanzhou, was it not you who pushed it when you publicly seated me in a corner? You and when you flirting right before me. Was that not you pushing it? When you sidelined me from the company's core operations. Was that not you pushing it? The chatter around us slowly died down. Everyone was watching us. Shinyanzhou's face turned ashen, then flushed. He opened his mouth to speak, but was cut off by another voice. Mr. Shen. Pei Yanji stood up, stepping subtly in front of me. This is a Technology Association gala, not the place for you to air your dirty laundry. If you have no other business, please return to your seat. Shinyanzhou glared at Pei Yanji. Pure hatred seething in his eyes. Pei Yanji, stay out of this. Jiang Musheng is my business partner. Pei Yanji's tone was as calm as discussing the weather. Her business is my business. Shinyanzhou's gaze swept back and forth between us. Then he laughed. A sneer dripping with malice. Business partners, huh? Jiang Wuxing, you really are something. New sugar daddy already? I wasn't angry. I just looked at him and suddenly felt he was pitiful. A man who, even now, still believes a woman can only rely on a man. That's the limit of his vision. Shen Yanzhou, I said, do you believe I can make you lose everything? Without relying on anyone? He froze. I turned to Pei Yanji and said, Mr. Pei, let's go. Pei Yanji nodded, picked up my purse, and walked out of the ballroom with me. Behind us, Shen Yanzhou stood rooted to the spot, his face livid. After the gala, Pei Yanji drove me home. The car stopped in front of my villa. I didn't get out immediately. Pei Yanji, I said, thank you for today. Don't thank me. He leaned back in the driver's seat, looking at me. You handled yourself perfectly well today. I just stood there. I didn't do anything. You standing there was enough. He paused, then said, Jiang Wuxing, have you ever wondered how Shen Yanzhou ended up like this? He's too arrogant. I can't live without him? What else? I thought for a moment and said, because he never truly knew me. Pei Yanji nodded. Do you know what I admire most about you? You always know exactly what you want. I looked at him and suddenly smiled. And you? Do you know what you want? Pei Yanji didn't answer. He just looked at me. In those unfathomably deep eyes, there was an emotion I couldn't read. After a long silence, he spoke. I know. But I'm still waiting. Waiting for what? For the right moment. He said no more. I got out of the car and went home. The next day, Shen Yanzhou formally filed for divorce in court. His demands were simple. Divorce. Jiang Wuxing gets 0 shares in Xingheng Group. The Xingheng shares under Jiang Wuxing's name must be transferred to Shen Yanzhou at their original investment price. Original investment price. Back when I invested in Xingheng, the company was valued at just 2 billion. I put in 30 million for a 15% stake. Now, Xingheng's market cap is 120 billion. My 23% stake is worth over. He wants me to sell 27.5 billion for 30 million. When I saw the lawsuit, I laughed. Not an angry laugh. I genuinely found it hilarious. Shen Yanzhou. His greed has reached a level of pure delusion. He thinks he's still the man in control. He thinks I'll still swallow my pride like I used to. He thinks the law is his personal playground. He doesn't know I'm not the Jiang Wuxing I used to be. Or maybe, he never knew the real Jiang Wuxing to begin with. I hired the best divorce lawyer in Bincheng, Fang Yuanzhou. He was recommended by Pei Yanji. 15 years of practice. Handled over 100 cases involving divorce battles for control of listed companies. Win rate over 90%. After reading Shen Yanzhou's complaint, Fang Yuanzhou only said one thing, he's insane. He's not insane, I said. He's just too arrogant. So arrogant he thinks a prenup can strip you of your legal property rights. Fang Yuanzhou adjusted his glasses. There are at least 5 major flaws in the wording of this prenup. It blatantly violates mandatory marriage laws. In court, it's basically worthless. So how much can I get? Fang Yuanzhou pulls out a calculator. He taps away for a moment, then looks up at me. A conservative estimate, half of the Xingheng shares. That's 11.5% of the shares in your name. Worth roughly 14 billion. Additionally, assets acquired after marriage. All combined, add about another 1.5 billion. Total estimated value, around 15.5 billion. Shen Yanzhou thought he could get rid of me for 30 million. The law is telling me what I'm actually owed is 15.5 billion. But that's not even the most important part. Fang Yuanzhou continues. The most crucial thing is the core technology copyright of Xingheng. You said you wrote all that code alone. Got proof? Yes, I do. Every single line of code's commit log has a timestamp and author signature. Also, I have testimonies from every team member back then. And a third-party technical evaluation report. Fang Yuanzhou's eyes light up. Then this isn't just about divorce anymore. if you can prove Xingheng's core tech is your personal intellectual property and not a work-for-hire invention, you can sue Xingheng for copyright infringement. Based on standard industry licensing rates for similar tech, the damages would be at least 2 to 3 billion. 2 to 3 billion. Plus the 15.5 billion from the divorce settlement. The price Xinyan Zhou would have to pay nears 20 billion, and Xingheng Group's total market cap is only about 120 billion. That's like cutting off 1/6 of Xingheng's lifeblood. Fang Yuanzhou looks at me, a hint of respect in his eyes. President Jiang, I've handled many divorce cases, but someone like you, who prepared evidence this thoroughly in advance. You're the first. I wasn't preparing for a divorce, I say. I was preparing for war. New Ascendancy launches first product. A smart IoT hub device for home environments. Internal codename, Polaris. The core tech of this device is actually based on the operating system I developed, upgraded and rebuilt from Xingheng. The tech team led by Gu Shen took only 3 weeks to develop the prototype. Test results show Polaris's performance metrics are 40% higher than Xingheng's comparable products. Power consumption is down 30%, and in terms of compatibility and openness, it completely crushes Xingheng's closed ecosystem. December 1st, New Ascendancy unveiled at Bincheng International Center. The launch event was a spectacle. 300 plus media 1K plus guests attended. I stood at the center of the stage. Behind me was a massive LED screen. It was displaying a live demo of Polaris. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I am Jiangmu Xing, I said. Founder of New Ascendancy. Camera flashes were blinding. 6 years ago, I co-founded Xingheng Group. 3 years ago, I spearheaded the development of its core technology. But 2 years ago, I was sidelined from core operations. The reason? My image was better suited for brand promotion, not for real tech work. The room went quiet. Today, I'm standing here not to accuse anyone. I just want to prove one thing. Technology doesn't lie. The market doesn't lie. And a woman's worth is never for anyone else to define. On the big screen, the Polaris tech demo video began to play. A wave of gasps and murmurs swept through the crowd. After the event ended, my phone was bombarded with messages until it nearly crashed. One of them was from Xinyan Zhou. For words, you're ruthless. I stared. Then I deleted it. No reply. Over the next month, New Ascendancy's progress was 3x faster. The Polaris prototype passed all technical tests. We began preparing for mass production. The first batch of orders, from 7 distributors, totaling 1.5 B+. Meanwhile, New Ascendancy's second funding round was oversubscribed. The initial scale grew from 12 billion to 20 billion. Meanwhile, over at Xingheng, things took a nosedive. With the launch of Polaris, markets reassessed Xingheng's tech. Multiple brokerages downgraded Xingheng's rating. Reason? Lost core talent, lacked innovation. Xingheng's stock price, in the 2 weeks following the launch, plummeted from 120 yuan to 81 yuan. Market capitalization evaporated by over 40 billion. Xinyan Zhou panicked. He started frantically dumping his personal shares in Xingheng, trying to cash out to shore up liquidity. But his sell-off only fueled the market panic. The stock kept falling. A vicious cycle. By the end of December, Xingheng's stock price had crashed to 52 yuan. Its market cap was only half of its peak value. And me? I bought low, quietly accumulating shares. I secured another 5% of Xingheng stock. Now, the shares I hold in Xingheng, I've reached 28%. Just 2 points shy of Xinyan Zhou's 30%. On New Year's Day, I went back to my parents for dinner. My mom cooked a whole feast. Dad opened his prized Maotai. They didn't ask about my work or about the divorce. They just chatted about everyday things. Like always, after dinner, Mom did the dishes, and Dad called me into his study. He pulled out an envelope from a drawer and handed it to me. What's this? I asked. Open it. I opened the envelope. Inside was a share transfer agreement. The subject of the transfer was 3% of Xinheng Group's shares held by the Jiang Group. I was stunned. Dad, when did you buy Xinheng stock? Dad lit a cigarette, leaning back. I didn't buy it. Back when you married Shen Yanzhou. I privately asked old Zhou from Hingtong to hold 3% of Xinheng's shares for me. Back then, Xinheng was private, undervalued. Cost under $1 billion. He exhaled smoke, watching it drift in the lamplight. I always thought, if one day you got hurt in this marriage, this 3% would be your final ace in the hole. My eyes suddenly stung. Dad, don't cry. He waved a hand. A daughter of the Jiang family doesn't cry. Add this 3% to your 28. That's 31%. Shen Yanzhou's 30% isn't enough anymore. 31%. I've surpassed Shen Yanzhou. From today, I am the largest shareholder of Xinheng Group. On the first workday after the New Year holiday, I submitted a proposal to the Xinheng Group board to convene an extraordinary general meeting of shareholders. They demanded a board re-election per the bylaws. A shareholder holding over 10% has the right to propose calling such a meeting. I hold 31%. The board has no power to refuse this proposal. When Shen Yanzhou received the notice, I was in the new Ascendancy project office, in a meeting with my team. My phone vibrated countless times. All his calls. I didn't answer. At 7 p.m., I walked out of the building. A black Maybach was parked by the curb. The window rolled down. Shen Yanzhou sat in the back seat, his face dark as a storm cloud. Get in, he said. I didn't move. Jiang Muxing, what the hell do you want? His voice was low, but every word was ground out between his teeth. Trying to destroy Xinheng? I'm destroying nothing. I said, I just want what's rightfully mine. Rightfully yours? He shoved the car door open and stepped out. He loomed over me. I built Xinheng from the ground up. You're just a technician. What gives you the right to call Xinheng yours? I am a technician. I met his gaze, not backing down an inch. You'd have no funding without him. Shen Yanzhou. You can disrespect me, but you can't change the facts. His fists clenched tight, his knuckles turning white. Don't try anything at the emergency meeting. He ground out the words. You know my connections on the board. Even if you become the largest shareholder, you won't get control. Really? I smiled. We'll see about that. I turned. I got in my car and started the engine. In the rearview mirror, Shen Yanzhou stood where he was, frozen like a stone statue. The emergency shareholders meeting was scheduled for January 15th. In the 2 weeks leading up to it, I didn't stop for a moment, visiting every institutional investor and individual shareholder of Xinheng. I spoke with data. I spoke with facts. I spoke with a future business plan. I told them, if we let Shen Yanzhou stay at the helm, Xinheng faces two fates, total destruction, or a hostile takeover as stocks fall. New management could save both. Could form a strategic synergy, growing the market for everyone. My lobbying efforts paid off beyond expectations. By the evening of January 14th, I had secured the support of shareholders representing 42% of the stock, combined with my own 31%, the total support rate reached 73%. Shen Yanzhou had lost. On January 15th, the emergency meeting began at Xinheng. When I walked into the conference room, Shen Yanzhou was already seated in the chairman's seat. He wore a dark blue suit, his expression hard and cold. His anxiety was clear. Wenya was absent. Rumor had it she'd left benching half a month ago. Gone to a place no one knew. After the meeting began, I proposed the motion to re-elect the board of directors. Shen Yanzhou's representative lawyer stood up, trying to block the vote on procedural grounds. But Fang Yuanzhou was prepared. He produced 3 judicial interpretations and 2 legal precedents. I refuted every objection. Voting started. Each ballot cast felt like a knife slicing into Shen Yanzhou's heart. In the end, the support rate was 73%. The opposition rate, 27%. Shen Yanzhou has been ousted from his position as chairman. The new board consists of 9 members, 5 of whom were nominated by me, and 4 by other institutional shareholders. I was elected as the new chairman and CEO. Shen Yanzhou sat there, his face ashen, like a statue whose soul had been drained. After the meeting adjourned, he walked up to me. Jiang Musheng. His voice was hoarse, grating like sandpaper. You won. This isn't winning, I said. This is justice. He looked at me, his lips moving as if he wanted to say something. But in the end, nothing came out. He turned and walked out of the boardroom. That silhouette was no longer the proud, upright figure of years past. Late January, the divorce trial commenced. Fang Yuanzhou was in court, systematically dismantling every single one of Shen Yanzhou's claims. He submitted over 300 pages of evidence. Xingheng's core tech was my IP, proving that Shen Yanzhou had committed significant misconduct during the marriage, and proving that multiple clauses in the prenuptial agreement violated mandatory laws. Trial lasted 7 days. Finally, the court ruled, divorce granted. 15% of Xingheng Group's shares were awarded to Jiang Musheng. Shen Yanzhou must, within 30 days, pay Jiang Musheng technology infringement damages totaling 2.73 billion. Prenup clauses stripping Jiang Musheng's property rights are void. Other marital assets are to be divided according to the law. Jiang Musheng received assets worth approximately 1.2 billion. In total, the value of the assets Jiang Musheng obtained exceeds 20 billion. Shen Yanzhou did not appeal. Not because he didn't want to, but because he knew an appeal would only make him lose even more spectacularly. The night the divorce decree became final, I drove to the seaside alone. Binqing's winter is bitterly cold. The sea wind cut into my face like a knife. I stood on the breakwater, gazing at the distant sea, the black ocean, and the black sky merged into one at the horizon, their boundary indistinguishable. My phone vibrated. It was Pei Yanji. Where are you? The beach. Alone? Yeah. I'm coming to find you. Don't. There was silence on the other end of the line for a few seconds. Jiang Musheng, he said. You won today. We should celebrate. I didn't win, I said. I just took back what was always mine. That's not winning. That's damage control. He paused, then said. What he said surprised me. Have you ever thought about why Shen Yanzhou lost? Because he underestimated me. No, Pei Yanji said. Because he never truly loved you. A man who doesn't love you will never know how strong you are. The call ended. I stood by the sea. The wind tousled my hair. My phone vibrated again. This time it was my mom. Musheng. It's your father's birthday tomorrow. Come home early. Okay. And? My mom paused, her voice choked with emotion. Sweetheart, I'm so proud of you. I hung up the phone. I looked at the distant horizon, and finally, the tears fell. Not from sadness, but because I could finally cry. 6 years of marriage, a 20 billion price tag. Shen Yanzhou, with his greed and arrogance, laid the groundwork for his own downfall. And I, with 2 years of planning, 6 months of the final battle, took back everything that was rightfully mine. In February, the new Ascendancy project saw explosive growth. Polaris mass-produced, sold 500,000 plus first month. Sales exceeded 1.2 billion. Our channels expanded from domestic to overseas, Europe, Southeast Asia, the Middle East. Orders flooded in like a blizzard. New Ascendancy project completed third funding round in March. Its valuation broke through 50 billion. In April, I graced the cover of Fortune magazine. The headline read, "She lost her marriage, but won the world." During the interview, the reporter asked me, Ms. Jiang, looking back over the past 6 months, who do you most want to thank? I thought for a moment and said, the person I most want to thank is the woman in the corner at the gala. And didn't cry. Why? Because if she had cried then, there would be no me today. After the interview was published, Shen Yanzhou sent me a message. Just one sentence, you've changed. I stared at it for a long time, then replied, no. I've just returned to who I was. He didn't reply again. In May, spring arrived in Binching. New Ascendancy's new Binching HQ officially opened. The building is 38 stories tall. Its glass curtain wall, gleaming blue like a crystal tower. On ribbon-cutting day, many people came, investors, partners, media, government officials. My parents were there too. My mom wore a red chipao, smiling from ear to ear. After the ribbon-cutting ceremony, Pei Yanji walked over to me. Congratulations, CEO Jiang. Thank you, CEO Pei. He looked at me, a softness in his eyes I'd never seen before. Jiang Muxing, there's something I want to tell you. What is it? The moment I've been waiting for, he said. It seems to have arrived. I looked at him, my heart skipping a beat. What do you want to say? I want to say, he paused, as if weighing his words. I like you. Not as a business partner. Not as a friend. But as a man liking a woman. The wind blew past, carrying the scent of spring flowers. I looked at him and smiled. Pei Yanji, do you know? What's the last thing I want to do right now? What? I don't want to depend on anyone anymore. I know, he said. So I won't let you depend on me. I just want to stand by your side, like before. As your partner. Your friend. Your... He hesitated. Your support. I lowered my head. Scissors in hand, red ribbon was still tangled on the blade. Give me some time, I said. I just crawled out of a failed marriage. I don't want to jump into another relationship so quickly. I can wait, he said. I've already waited 5 years. I looked up at him. The sunlight fell on his face. His eyes were bright, like 2 pieces of obsidian submerged in water. 5 years ago, first meeting. Wearing a wrinkled white shirt, eyes red. Pitching the Xinghing Group business plan. Back then, I was 24, my head full of dreams. 5 years later, I'm 29. I've been through betrayal, humiliation, failure. He stood by, always there. Just right. Pei Yanji, I said. 5 years, 1 more is easy. He smiled faintly, genuinely. My mom was calling me for photos. I turned and walked towards her. After a few steps, I glanced back. Pei Yanji was still standing there. Wind lifted his coat, long shadow. Pei Yanji, I said. Thank you. He didn't ask what for. He just nodded at me. A slight curve, not quite a smile. It felt more like a promise. That night, alone, I stood on the rooftop of the new headquarters building, overlooking the night view of all Binching. A sea of lights, dazzling. This city has witnessed my glory and my shame. It's witnessed my falls and my comebacks. It's watched me transform from a dependent wife into a woman in control of 20 billion in capital. My phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number. Jiang Muxing. It's Wenya. I wanted to say I'm sorry. Not to seek forgiveness. Just to say, Yanzhou and I, we're done. It's over. He's lost everything. We've both paid for our choices. I read it, but didn't reply. Deleted the message, blocked the number. Wenya was right. Everyone has paid the price for their own choices. Shen Yanzhou lost Xinghing Group. He lost his marriage, his standing in Binching's tech circle. Wenya lost her job, her reputation. She lost everything she schemed so desperately to get. And me? I lost a marriage that wasn't worth it. And gained a brand new self. This isn't a story about revenge. Up on the rooftop, the wind is fierce. I look up at the sea of stars. 29. My life is just beginning.